Helping Seniors of Brevard gets underway right now as we introduce the host of Helping Seniors of Brevard and the executive director of the organization. Here is none other than Kerry Fink. Hi, Kerry.
Hey, John Harper. I almost feel like that was almost like a Tonight Show kind of, and here's Johnny. How you doing today, John? Good. We are so excited. It's always a pleasure to gather here on the radio at 90.3 FM WEJF for the Helping Seniors radio show. It happens every Wednesday, 12 noon to 1 p.m. right here on 90.3 FM. So be sure to tell your friends. And we also want to say hello to the listeners who join us online at wejf.net. And also a big shout out and hello, and we're so glad you're listening to those who catch this later because we basically, as soon as the show is done, it's out there as a podcast. So wherever you get your podcast, whether it be iTunes or Amazon or Spotify, or if you're over on iHeartRadio or Facebook podcasts, you'll find Helping Seniors Radio there. And we're going to have a great show today because we have two great people here who have been just friends of the Helping Seniors organization since the beginning. Actually, I would say more than friends because you guys are not only friends of the organization, but you've been on the board of the organization and have really shaped it into the tool that it is today. And we were just talking about there's never been a time that seniors need more help than right now here in Brevard County. So without further ado, on behalf of Joe Steckler, our president and founder, let me introduce our studio panel. In the studio, I won't be able to do this quite as well as John did with the drum roll and all of that, but let me introduce to you first our operations director. What a blessing that she is. She joined us, she was there actually before I was even there. As the whole organization got started, she was serving as a board member and actually stepped down from the board so you could become on staff with us and help us get the work done. You're our operations director, a registered nurse, 33 years worth of experience as a registered nurse. You ran one of the largest home health care agencies in this community. And so you bring a tremendous amount of experience, and that's going to come in really important as we talk about today's topic, but it's Nancy Deardorff. How are you, Nancy?
Hi, good afternoon, Kerry. And you know what? I mean this honestly. I am the one that's blessed to be part of such a wonderful organization.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely, it's so important. I know all of us in here believe so strongly in what Joe set out for us to accomplish with this Florida nonprofit. And so let me go ahead and get into the conversation right away by introducing also, she's been a board member it's got to be a decade, I'm thinking, but for sure your own company is celebrating 10 years of service here in Brevard County. She's not only a great provider of home help services in our area, she's actually also a great employer of seniors in our area. And if you know anything about her, she is a tireless, fearless champion of seniors. You'll see her every place there's an event. I'm talking about Jennifer Helin, who also finds time to serve on our board. How are you, Jennifer?
Hi, Kerry. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I am so glad you guys are here because we titled today's show about the different types of home care. And, one of the things that when we set out our kind of goal for this year, we set a theme, and we jokingly call it "Get Your Ducks in a Row." Well, half jokingly call it We want to help you get your ducks in a row. Joe has always called it a little bit more, maybe appropriately. He's called it "You got to get your own aging plan." So you understand, as we get older, we may need some help in certain areas, and let's not be reactive. Let's be proactive. And yet, what the thing that I really want us to get into today is, besides talking, Jennifer, about the company that you have, but most of us just think there's a nurse at home. Mom or dad has a nurse at home, and that's about the extent of most of our experience. We have no idea that there's this whole level of care that's available. We're under misconceptions about, do I have to pay for this? Will Medicare pay for this? Will my insurance pay for this? There's all these different things. And I've heard Joe talk for years about this thing that he calls levels of care. So he says when you're having an aging plan, you want to get the right level of care that you need. It may need to escalate as you get older or another problem surfaces, but you want to not have to do more than you need to do at the time you need to do that. Am I saying that in a way that makes sense, Jennifer?
Yes. I'm thinking back probably about 20 years ago when prior to that, it had always been my mom or another adult in my family taking care of the senior. And about 20 years ago, we started taking care of great grandma, and having absolutely no clue what was out there and how this all worked. So being that person, you don't know what you don't know, and all of a sudden great grandma needs help, and thinking, well, doesn't Medicare pay for that? Well, wait a minute. We have to pay for that. Well, grandma doesn't have any money. How do we do this? How do we navigate this? And having no clue about the levels of care, what Medicare does, what home health does, that there are different levels within home health. So, remembering back and being in that position of, oh my gosh, and deer in the headlights, to where we are now. And of course, Nancy is even much more knowledgeable than I am about, the different types of home health care, but it is so important, and it's one of those things where if you don't know, you don't know. Yeah. But it's important that, even if you might not be in that position right now, yourself as a senior or within your family, listen, because it's coming, and it's really good to understand how this all works so that you can make the proper decisions at the right time.
You said that beautifully. The time to look for what's out there and educate yourself is now, not when the crisis happens. Not that there's not help in a crisis situation, but it's so much more stressful. People aren't thinking clearly, and they shuffle to pull care together. And I thank you for saying it that way, because it is so important to... I had a lady call me the other day about something that, an article that she clipped out of from Joe Steckler in Hometown News. Didn't need it, but thought, I'm going to cut this out. Had it on her fridge.
Wow.
For 2 years with our number, and she's just now calling us yesterday. And I'm like, well, you were smart. She goes, I just had a feeling I might need this number one day. And 2 years later, that piece of paper came in handy. So she... I educated her further on what she needed yesterday, but the idea is educate yourself. Never stop learning and planning for what you hope doesn't happen, but if it does, you'll have an idea of what direction to go.
Absolutely.
Kind of building on that, we were filming Helping Seniors Television on Monday, so there's going to be some more new Helping Seniors television programs. And I want to remind you, by the way, if you listen to the radio shows, you may not be aware that we're on TV 3 times a day, Monday through Friday, on the Space Coast Government TV channel. And that's available in every single cable household here in Brevard County, including like if you have Dish Network or something like that. You just have to hunt it down and find Space Coast Government TV. But also, we make all of our programs available on the YouTube channel. And we have quite an audience that builds up there, and also on the Facebook side of things. And we put our TV, we put our radio, we put our print. Everything is there for you so that you can access it at a time. Because what we find is a lot just like what Nancy was just relating. You might not need this message right at the moment, but you might run into it. The point of the story I wanted to bring out was I was sitting with Sam Cosmic, who is the Director of Life Enrichment. We did a great... show where we talked about how hard they work behind the scenes to make sure the residents are really getting a good level of engagement, and it actually helps them thrive. And I would be sure I've seen people go into an assisted living, and you would have thought, well, they're going to last another 2 weeks, and then because they're getting the right nutrition, they're getting the right social interaction, they thrive for years. And it's really fascinating to see. But the point of the conversation was, I said, for most of us, what we know about an assisted living is like we remember this old folks' home that we went to see great grandma, when we were 4 years old, and it was very scary to us. It was not a pleasant experience. It was just scary because you didn't know what to expect. And Sam was saying, well, yeah, this is totally different. It's like living on a cruise ship. They publish a daily program. Here's all your activities. But I was thinking that same confusion for us out in the street when it comes to home health. I guess maybe, Nancy, the first time that we become, because I was thinking about my own experience with my mom, the first time I really had help in the home was she had a stay in the hospital, and they sent her home, and we needed home health. And I remember calling you because you were in charge of this large organization called, in the day, it was called Gentiva. And I remember asking you, I said, can we have you guys home health? Because you come out of a hospital, and they said, oh, you should call these people. And I thought, yeah, but every show I've seen and heard Joe talking about says, no, this might be an organization we want to talk to. And you were very helpful. But that was like, I didn't know what to expect or how any of that worked. How do you sit down with somebody and explain how all that works?
Well, it's really quite simple. The conversation isn't difficult. The difficult is reaching people so that they're aware of it. So that they're aware of home health and the different types of home health. And oftentimes, when people learn about home health, it's when something has really kind of traumatic has happened.
Right.
A stroke, a gaping wound, a diabetic crisis, and they end up in the hospital. And oftentimes, maybe a rehab center afterwards. And the social worker or discharge planner makes a referral to home health for when that person goes home for home health to continue the skilled need. I'm talking one type of Medicare, one type of home care, which is skilled home care, which is my experience with Gentiva. And that's their first introduction. And there's a lot of misconceptions about Medicare home health. First of all, let's talk about what Medicare home health is.
Yes.
Medicare home health is the same thing as saying skilled home health care. Okay. People don't understand those terms are interchangeable. And what skilled home health care means is that you require the skill of a professional, typically a nurse or a physical therapist or a speech therapist, occupational therapist, to perform care in the home for whatever diagnosis you might have. And you have to qualify. And the qualifications are pretty simple, but can be ambiguous to people. First of all, it requires a physician's order. And a physician would write an order for a course of skilled home health, and they would specify what discipline that person needed, whether it be skilled nursing, physical therapy for balance issue, occupational therapy, speech, whatever.
Can I just interrupt for half a second?
Yeah.
Because the first time I heard occupational therapy, I said, well, my mom's retired. So, so the problem is, as a person out on the street, there's terms that get used a lot, and we didn't even know. And somebody said, no, this is about, can she get to the refrigerator? And it had a lot of other meanings that I started to understand with that explanation.
Right.
But it's so funny because they throw these terms at you like you know what they mean.
Right, and those of us in healthcare make that mistake. We have to really be cautious of the language we choose when we're educating folks.
Yeah.
So skilled nursing is either the care from an RN or a licensed practical nurse. PT is physical therapy, which usually, and I'm putting this very simply for time, focuses on things like balance, walking and gait, certainly safety, strengthening exercises. Speech therapy focuses on not only speech, for instance, if someone's having trouble talking after a stroke, or trouble swallowing. They also work on swallowing. People aren't necessarily aware of that. If they're choking a lot on thin liquids, they can have a course of speech therapy, and many times speech therapy, ST, can help them recover back to a normal diet and stop that choking, which of course is a hazard for pneumonia if people are taking fluids into their lung and choking a lot. Occupational therapy has nothing to do with your occupation. It has to do with the things which I will call activities of daily living, which are things that we do every day. We wake up, we make breakfast, we eat breakfast, we take a shower, we go to the restroom. Maybe when we're making our breakfast, we use the stove or the microwave. Many people lose that ability or the strength, or they need safety techniques. And occupational therapy works with a patient to restore those activities of daily living. So if someone's having trouble, for instance, getting to and from the bath, getting up and down off of the toilet. They also can work with not only strengthening but adaptive devices, a raised toilet seat, a shower bench to help them shower in a seated position, safe use of the stove. And occupational therapy can also be helpful with cognitive disorders, as can a lot of the disciplines. So first off, it requires a doctor's order for that and a need. The need is based on diagnoses. The general rule of thumb for home health is that Medicare will cover the cost of home health. And when I say cover, I mean there's no copay or no deductible. If you qualify, you get those services free.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to qualify, you must have a need for a skilled service, and you must be considered homebound. That confuses a lot of people. Homebound doesn't mean you never leave your house. The definition basically is that you can't leave, or when you do leave, it's a considerable and taxing effort to do so. So if you can get in your car and go every day, you're not going to qualify for home health. Home health was designed to bring skilled home health services into the home for someone who had difficulty accessing those services outside of the home. The other thing is it's intermittent and finite. So intermittent means you may have a physical therapist visit you 3 times a week, maybe 4. As you get better, those visits decrease. So maybe 4 times a week for a couple weeks, then it goes down to 3, then 2. And when you've recovered or reached maximum clinical potential, in other words, you're not going to get any better, home health must discharge you from that particular discipline. Okay. And what I want to let people know about skilled home health is that it requires a doctor's order. It does not require a stay in a hospital or a skilled nursing facility.
Oh.
And I get this a lot on the phone with people. Typically, it's folks that call me for another reason. Had a lady back in January that called because she needed grab bars.
Okay.
Which helping seniors, we hooked her up with a company that could install her grab bars. But in talking with her, she had developed vertigo. Normally drove, independent, but couldn't because her vertigo was so bad. I educated her on skilled home health. I said, are you aware? She was not aware.
Right.
I said, are you aware that there's a physical therapy program? It's physical therapy based for vestibular rehab, which has to do with your inner ear, which a lot of times is the culprit behind vertigo. She said no. Helped her connect to a skilled home health agency, and as a result, she received a couple of months' worth of skilled physical therapy through a local, reputable Medicare home health agency.
Wow.
So she said, I didn't know that, and she wasn't in the hospital. She simply, and the home health often will help you get the order. Patients are shy. They won't call their doctor. They can. And say, can you write me an order for home health? I want a physical therapist. Sometimes they're shy. Most of your home health agencies out there they can't solicit for your business under Medicare. But if you call them and say, I want home health, can you call my doctor? They can get that order for you. So the home health agency can pick up and call Dr. Fink and say, hi, Dr. Kerry Fink, your patient, Mabel Smith, called us. She would like a prescription for a course of home health physical therapy. The agency gets that order and then ensues. So somebody may get skilled therapy of just a nurse if that's all they need for, say, wound care. Mm-hmm. Typically, people usually have a couple things going on. We know as we get older, there's fall risks, there's weakening of our muscles. So a lot of times people have nursing and physical therapy out. And depending on their situation, they may have all disciplines, nursing, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. And people need to understand it's intermittent. A visit from any of those disciplines is typically an hour, few times a week. And then as you get better, those visits decrease and then they discharge you. So typical course of home health can be anywhere from 60 days with intermittent visits, maybe extend into the next, what they call certification period, up to 120 days. So people need to understand it's not a forever solution. At some point, Medicare will say that's it.
Yeah. Well, and interestingly enough, to use your very correct phrase, you don't know what you don't know. I don't think most of us, I certainly didn't. That's new to me that I didn't know that you didn't have to have a hospital stay.
No.
And so that's pretty valuable information. It's one of the reasons, folks, that I really think the need for helping seniors is so important, because when you call our senior information line at 321-473-7770, and I'll say that again so you get a second to grab a pen and jot it down. Again, that number is 321-473-7770. And Nancy, you're getting like 300 calls a month from people with all kinds of questions, but that's a perfect example of what I would call a successful case where somebody called you And because you were able to show them a path that they didn't even know existed,
Yes.
you were able to provide a real service to somebody who was otherwise pretty much stuck. And that's why the work of helping seniors, honestly, is so important. I didn't mean to go down that, but it just came to me like this is the reason why helping seniors exists.
Right. I mean, she called for grab bars, and then I wanted to know why did she need them.
Right.
Now, some people have chronic. Medicare home health typically doesn't cover chronic, ongoing diagnoses that haven't exacerbated. But her vertigo was fairly new, so it was a new issue, and that's why she needed those grab bars. So we do on the phone do an intake. I do ask nosy questions. I apologize to my callers, but I'm trying to direct you to the care that you need. And oftentimes, again, what they call for is one thing, and they end up with a few resources because I find out their problem or their issue goes deeper than the initial reason for their call.
Yeah, I think it's so important. I mean, even the Brevard County has recognized the importance of the work that you do with that senior information helpline because they've helped us a little bit with through some grant money, but it's like a drop in the bucket compared to what it actually takes to run the whole Helping Seniors organization. But it is a testimony to how important the service actually is. And, we live in a county where there's more and more seniors all the time. Jennifer, you guys have been around 10 years. We're going to go into the specifics. We've spent a lot of time talking about how the Medicare side of it works with skilled home health. And we're going to go into these other levels of care because then everybody assumes, well, how does this other part of it work? So we're going to use the second half of the show to really talk about that. But even in the interim, I wanted to say you've seen this county grow in the 10 years you guys have been here.
Oh, absolutely. I was just talking to on the phone with one of my seniors who's been here since the 60s. And the difference in just even the last couple of years since COVID and all the people moving here to Florida, how busy the roads have gotten. And she was saying that she was comfortable driving until the last few years. Yeah. And now now that the traffic has gotten so bad, she doesn't feel like she wants to drive over the causeway anymore. So we will be helping with that. But a lot of growth in the area. So a lot of need for our seniors here in Brevard County.
Yeah, I was going to say, before we go to the mid-show break, I did want to talk about that because people think, what is Helping Seniors? Well, it's a nonprofit. It's a Florida nonprofit. Joe Steckler established this organization in 2011 after his very successful career of getting those Joe's Clubs built and all that he did to get the Alzheimer's Foundation, the Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation, rolling with that. So that's a present resource today for seniors around the county, and I think they do some other things with transportation. A lot of good work.
Wonderful organization.
And yet, when Joe sort of retired and stepped away from that, he said, Kerry, we're not done. There's more we got to do for seniors because not all seniors just have challenges with the memory. We got to look at all these things. And so that's where home health is going to be like the answer to a lot of the things, particularly because we know oftentimes it's much more cost effective to age in place. And many people prefer that. They say, hey, listen, this is my home. I'm comfortable here. So on the second part of the show, we really want to talk with you about that, Jennifer, and to get some insight into how that works and then how the world of private care, home care can work and be a benefit in that. So real quick before we go to the break, let's share that number, Nancy, if people want to get in touch with you on the senior information.
Absolutely. We can be reached at 321-473-7770. If I am on the phone helping someone, it will automatically go to voicemail. I will call every caller back. So if you get voicemail, please don't get frustrated. Leave me a message. It actually is very helpful to me because I'll listen to it and know why I'm calling you back. Some folks choose not to leave a message. I still call you back. So 321-473-7770, and our goal is really to set you on the right path. My motto, how do you know what you don't know? You don't. Just give us a call and we'll lead you in the right direction.
All right, and we'll be back with more Helping Seniors right after this.
12:33 in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. You're listening to Helping Seniors of Brevard. Let's get back to more of the program. Here is your host and the Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard, Kerry Fink.
Thank you, John Harper. It's always a pleasure to be here at lunchtime on Wednesdays right here on 90.3 FM radio, WEJF. So welcome back to the broadcast. On behalf of Joe Steckler, our entire Helping Seniors team, we are in the studio today with none other than Nancy Deardorff, who is our operations director, and also Jennifer Helin, who is the owner of Seniors Helping Seniors. People always get our names confused, even though you've been around 10 years, and I guess we've been around since 2011. So people often call you thinking they're calling Helping Seniors, and people often call Helping Seniors thinking they're calling Seniors Helping Seniors.
It does happen quite a bit, but we're always, happy to help. Sometimes we just go ahead and do Nancy's job.
Thank you.
And give them the referral that they're looking for if it's a real simple answer. And other times we're very happy to give them Nancy's phone number.
Yeah, thank you.
So that they can reach out and get a little bit more complicated information. But we all work together for the seniors' best interests. So.
That's what I really do love about the group that's assembled as part of Helping Seniors. It's a lot of people who volunteer a lot of time to make this thing happen, like you do on the board of directors, Jennifer Helin. And actually, before you joined staff, Nancy Deardorff, all those years, you were volunteering your time helping us on the board and everything. So we are blessed to have some really good people. And we had a meeting yesterday. We were talking about the car raffle, which is our big fundraiser. And I'm going to save a minute at the end of the broadcast so we can talk about that. Because we do need your help in that. But we were having a meeting as we're trying to get organized to some exciting and fun events that are going to be happening connection with that, all leading up to that October 29th grand drawing date. But we were talking about how really neat it is that the people who are connected to Helping Seniors really do care about seniors. It may be a profession, but it's really a calling, actually, in a way.
Very much so. I really have never seen such a dedicated board.
Yeah.
For volunteer board members.
Yeah.
Our board members are valuable. They work hard for our organization, and we're very blessed to have the board that we have.
Yeah, I just want to shout out to a couple of them. Ruth Rhodes is an elder law attorney, and all the work she does in the community, and she volunteers her time on the board. We have folks like Debbie Beard, who's a senior real estate specialist, has her own real estate company called Next Chapter. Folks like Ashley Caswell at Hibiscus Court. Well, she's not even she's like big time corporate or something there now, but she volunteers her time. With our board. Jennifer, you run a big company and you take your time and help us and so we're so grateful. And it makes a big difference with, 25% of our population here in Brevard County over the age of 25, over the age of 65, and half of them over the age of 50. It's a growing number. And then like we were talking about before the group, before the break, we have so many people moving to Florida now, and they don't know who to call, where to start. And so our conversation today is actually about levels of care and the different types of home health. Now, we spent the first half of the show talking a little bit about what Medicare can do through skilled nursing. Am I saying that? You guys got to shout me down if I get this twisted.
Skilled home health care.
Okay, but what we want to do in the second half of the show is talk about the different kinds of care that you can get at home, because a lot of times people are surprised to learn that Medicare only pays for a certain part, and then they're like, oh my goodness, now I got to think about how to do this part. But what they're also not thinking about is, yeah, but if you have to stay home, then you're giving up your income and you're not even necessarily trained to do some of the things that are helpful here. And especially if you don't have the time because your career pressures and all, you really got to find that help from mom or dad or that loved one that you're caring for. So Jennifer, Joe has often talked about elements of care, and I've heard you guys talk many times on TV and radio that you really are kind of like the first rung of that. Talk about that.
We are, and we have a lot of those conversations with our seniors and the families when they call. We do a lot of education because we are often the first call. Mom needs a little bit of help. How does this all work? And I go back to that time period way back when with great grandma when I was a little clueless, and we step back and explain how Medicare works, and then how you'll hear people call it private duty, how that private pay home care works. And there are different licenses and different levels. And so ours is considered Homemaker Companion. We're all licensed through the state, the Agency for Healthcare Administration. I'll tell folks that Homes Regional is governed by them all the way down to us, our little Homemaker Companion. And then it will go up from there as far as type of skilled care. For us, we can do quite a bit. Transportation, light housekeeping, meal preparation. I tell everybody we can do anything that's not medical or not personal care hands-on. So we can help with a lot of different things, but we can't actually help people in the shower. We can't help them get dressed. But most of the time when people are first calling for help, that's the type of help that they do need. They need transportation because they're no longer driving. They might have macular degeneration or glaucoma. Maybe there's a little bit of memory loss. So they're thinking safety-wise, it's probably a good thing that they're not driving anymore. So we help with getting them to and from doctor's appointments or the grocery store, help with some meal preparation, kind of keep them organized, keep the house clean, and provide a lot of companionship as well, which, we've talked before after COVID, the companionship piece has been a huge issue. We're doing a lot more of that than ever before in the home and actually in assisted living facilities where we're going in and maybe taking the person out for the day and just getting them out, going to the beach, going for a walk in the park, going for lunch, just doing something different for that companionship piece.
Yeah, and I remember we won't have time today to get into it, but I remember the conversations about actually how truly affordable that actually ends up becoming, because again, going back to Joe Steckler, our president and founder's point, you need to access the services that are appropriate for the stage of the journey that you're on. So, and not only that, the other thing that kind of differentiates you in particular is not only are you helping seniors, seniors helping seniors, but you actually also are a great job opportunity for seniors. Take just a moment and talk about, because we had this conversation before. I thought, well, if you're going to be in the home health industry, are you supposed to be a retired nurse or something like that? You said, no. Talk about that.
Exactly. So we really do hire seniors to go out and help seniors, and our ideal person is someone who has helped their own family members. It could have been a spouse or maybe their mom or dad, and they've got all of this really wonderful knowledge base, this hands-on that they've already been there, done that with a family member, so they've got all this knowledge. And maybe that person has passed, and now they're thinking, well, what do I do with myself now? Right. And they make the best caregivers because they get to go out and help someone else, usually on a part-time basis. And it's something that they can feel really good about. So we do try to match interests. So that's a lot of fun. That's one of the best parts of my job is getting to play matchmaker and go out and, okay, this gentleman is a Navy veteran, and we happen to have a gentleman who is retired Navy. So let's see about putting them together. They get along fabulously well. They have great conversations. The daughter was thinking, Dad will never accept this. He's too proud. They get along great. And in fact, Dad has asked for a little bit more help than what we were originally planning on. So it really works well. What we find is that if our caregivers, our employees are having a great time, then that means the clients are really getting a great service, and it all works really well.
And that was a point that I've heard you and Joe also talk about many times, is that's getting somebody used to accepting some help in the home, because most of us we pride ourselves on being self-reliant, and it's tough for us to give that up. But this is a great way to kind of wade into it.
Well, and I just want to add to what Jennifer was saying, because people many times get confused. We say we're non-hands-on care. So yes, a homemaker companion, there are regulations. They can't put their hands on a client because they're not trained, like to get someone in and out of the shower or bathe them, because that all requires training. But I don't want people to get the wrong idea. A companion can, if somebody can get up from a chair, for instance, on their own, But they just needed, for instance, maybe someone with low vision, and they need guidance to the bathroom, but they can toilet themselves independently. A companion can take them arm in arm like you would walk with someone, not ambulate them, but guide them to the restroom. If they people get confused about that.
Yeah.
And I worked in private duty myself, so I'm very familiar with the regulations. And there's people out there like, they can't touch them at all. That's not true. They can't touch them in a way that requires training. They can't dress someone for them, but they can certainly go to the closet and retrieve an outfit. If someone, again, has low vision and says, today I want to wear pants and a top, and that companion can go to the closet and pick out their, right, Jennifer? Am I speaking correctly?
Absolutely. And honestly, that's a lot of times someone with dementia. We're working with that person, and they're very capable of getting in the shower, but with dementia, they just don't. Yeah. So,
and correct me if I'm wrong, they can help brush their hair and comb their hair, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not like totally they can't touch them. They can guide them. They can't do anything that requires training. For instance, a certified nursing assistant is trained to ambulate someone that's a fall risk and also help them fall to minimize the risk of an injury from a fall.
Right.
So I just wanted to throw that out there because a lot of people were like, well, if they can't touch me at all, what good are they? Oh, they're a lot of good. And I'm here to tell you, I was a customer of Jennifer's Seniors Helping Seniors for my loved one, and it was a lifesaver. It allowed me to go to work. It allowed me relief just to go in another room and do something while she had company and someone to tend to her. It was wonderful. I can't say enough about Seniors Helping Seniors, and of course, that has a lot to do with the leader.
Oh, well, thank you.
Absolutely. So, Jennifer, then if maybe somebody is hearing this and they go like, that sounds like a job opportunity that I would want to investigate further, or the flip side is, now that I'm thinking about it, this would be good help. How do folks reach Seniors Helping Seniors?
So we can be contacted at 321-722-2999. Again, that's 321-722-2999. And Kerry, we're always, from the very first phone call, we're talking to people and making sure that they are an appropriate client for us, that the skill that they need is what we can provide. And if we're not, for some reason, then we always like to give a recommendation of another company who has that next rung, that next level up, who can do the hands-on. And those folks are going to be hiring CNAs and HHAs so that they do have the appropriate knowledge base to be able to help people with the hands-on, whether it's in the shower or getting dressed. So it's important, I think, for all levels to go with a company that you know, like, and trust. What we're seeing a little bit more, because of the need in Brevard County, we are seeing people trying to hire someone off the street. And
that's not a good idea.
It really isn't.
Wow.
Everybody, if you're working with someone with an agency who is licensed through ACA, they are automatically going to have a federal background check. Now, we do more checks than that, but at the very least, you know that they have had a federal background check that they're passing, so it is a safe person that comes into your home. There's insurance, there's licensing, there's protocols in place for safety. Yeah. When you're hiring someone off the street, no license, no insurance.
Not a good idea. Not a good idea.
Roll of the dice.
I got a call the other day, Jennifer, from a gentleman who said, yes, I want to know if you have a resource for, I want a retired nursing assistant, a retired CNA. I said, I can give you, and I offered your number. No, I already tried them. I'm not looking to go through a company. And I highly advised him against it. I said, you need to be I told him the advantages of going through a company, background, licensed, insured. I said, you got to be very, very careful of who you allow into your home. There have been horror stories out there.
Oh, we've come in after the fact, unfortunately, and just you feel horrible for the families. And oftentimes it is someone maybe with a little bit of dementia, so they don't want that their loved one to have to identify the person or go to the police and testify. Yeah. They don't want to put them on the stand and put them through that. So these people are back out there doing it to someone else.
I would ask the question, why does a certified nursing assistant or a home health aide or anyone who's retired want to work for a stranger under the table or not through a company. There's a reason.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this. Our state attorney in our area, Phil Archer, is another good friend of the Helping Seniors organization, and he actually contributed an article that we published in the April edition of the Helping Seniors newsletter, center section of Senior Scene magazine. He's a scam fighter. He's always publishing information, trying to let us know, hey guys, are you aware that this is going on out there? And one of those areas is people will pull down a business card that's just tacked up on a community bulletin board, maybe at a grocery store or something like that. And boy, is that a caveat emptor moment, because what you think you're saving could end up costing you thousands and thousands. Because I guess that's one of the things when you're dealing with a reputable agency. Number one, the responsibility is kind of flipping over to them to make sure that they've checked out their folks to the best they can. And then they also are insured and have some backups. And so you're not just fighting all this by yourself. But I wanted to kind of jump back in. So we've talked about, I guess, call it two ends of the case. We have the Medicare kind of home help, and we've talked about the entry level. Jennifer, what happens when you get to somebody they say, okay, they really do need another level of care? Now, you guys mentioned two acronyms, CNA, and you mentioned, I think it was HHA. What does that mean? And then what happens at that level of care?
So when we might have a current client who is progressing a little bit, maybe the dementia is progressing or their physical capabilities are diminishing. So it's getting to that point where they do need, we can see the need for a good bath a couple of times a week. We will advise the family that it's time and either work in conjunction with or hand off to a company who does do the personal care or the hands-on care. So the CNA is a certified nursing assistant.
Okay.
And the HHA is a home health aide.
Okay.
And they do go through some coursework, and I believe they also both have continuing education requirements.
Yes, they do. And the difference for people who are wondering, a certified nursing assistant can practice being a certified nursing assistant in any care environment. So a nursing home, rehab setting, home health, skilled or non-skilled home health. A home health aide is restricted to only home health.
Okay.
So if you've got, and they're both trained. Home health aide is trained, but they're trained for home health specifically, and they have a certificate, but they can only work in the home health environment.
Okay. So let me ask you this, because I want to kind of like wrap this part up, save a couple of minutes just to talk about the car raffle and some things like that. But so we have different levels. We have sort of that Homemaker Companion. Then we have that next level up. We're talking about, like you said, a certified nursing assistant, or I think you said it was a home health aide. Is there another level that steps up from there? I imagine it's probably now we're into the realm of private nursing.
Yeah, private nursing, which is another type of home health, and
okay.
you cannot get continuous nursing or skilled care through Medicare agency.
You're paying.
As
for
I said,
this
it's intermittent, but there are private duty agencies out there that do skilled care, but for hours at a time,
right.
12-hour shift, 10-hour shift. There are certain Medicaid programs that cover that. For instance, children with disabilities. There's a program much too short of time to get into that. There are programs for the elderly that are nursing home diversion programs that can pay for that, but you have to be a Medicaid recipient. The other payer sources are private pay, or in certain cases, if you have long-term care insurance. And then I guess for prudence, I have to throw out there, although it's more rare these days, if you have a really good like Banker's Life policy, or if you have really good just regular non-Medicare insurance, some of them have a clause in it. Usually that's a very expensive insurance plan. Some of them have private duty nursing coverage in there. So you'd have to check. Otherwise it falls to private pay, which can get quite pricey, but can also be a cheaper alternative if you need it just for a short period of time.
Right.
And you want to bring someone home. So you could have that, if you don't need it forever, You could have it for a week, 2 weeks, a month, just enough to get someone over a hump to get them back home and safe and improving.
Okay. So with that, let's kind of leave it for the moment of saying, like, if you have more questions, you've got two great experts who really know this inside and out, and you should feel free to reach out to either one. Let's start with Jennifer Helin. Seniors helping seniors. You're not only a kind person, but you're also generous with your time to help make sure a senior gets pointed in the right direction. And you'll explain to them if it's past what you guys are able to do. But again, if somebody wants to ask questions or learn more, either from the employment side or the I want some help side.
So we are on the web at seniorshelpingseniors.com/Brevard. And also we can be reached at 321-722-2999.
Okay. And then Nancy Deardorff, Operations Director for Helping Seniors of Brevard. You've got the experience of all of that. And so it's a great place for somebody to call and say, okay, I heard you guys talking about this. Can you fill in some blanks for me? How do they?
Absolutely. Our senior information line, I can be reached at 321-473-7770. And if you get Seniors Helping Seniors and Helping Seniors of Brevard mixed up, both of us will point you in the right direction.
Absolutely.
That's good. And with that, we're going to take the last moment or two to talk about a fun topic. It really is the fun part of what we get to do, and that is the Helping Seniors Car Raffle. It's also a very important part of what we do, because the very fact that we're able to talk to you on the radio and that Nancy is able to take your call and that we are able to serve in the community is because of you and your support and you helping us as Helping Seniors. We can't do it without your donation. Better yet, if you have a business and you're working with seniors, we invite you to get involved directly. There's some good opportunities there. Again, a great place to call is Nancy at that 321-473-7770 number. Lots of opportunities. We have a senior services directory, different sponsor levels, and all that makes it possible. But the car is the fun thing that everybody can get into, because one ticket for $25, 5 tickets for $100 gives you a chance to win a what, Jennifer?
The only car that is available is the Dodge. So no, I'm kidding. I am Team Dodge. So I always have to do the shout out for the Dodge. But you actually get to choose one of 4 cars, the Dodge, the Chevy Camaro, the Kia Sportage, or the Mazda Miata. So you really cannot lose.
Yeah.
There are 4 beautiful cars. The winner gets to choose which one they would like to take home. Last year's winner chose the Kia.
Yeah, that was amazing. I always was joking. I said, well, as cool as these other cars are, the practical side of me might win out, and I might choose a Kia if I could win. And no, that's what our winner did. David Odahowski, local guy from our area, who was a winner, a longtime supporter of Joe's. And so, Nancy, not only when you get the ticket do you get a chance at winning a car, but I always go, everybody's a winner, because they get to do what?
Everybody's a winner, because your donation, again, $25 for 1 ticket, $100 for 5 ticket. That is a donation. It helps support our good work that we're doing. And it's also your ticket to entry of our grand drawing for one of the 4 cars, your choice, on October the 29th.
Yes.
Which is a Saturday. It's 6 to 9 p.m. at the American Muscle Car Museum. It is an awesome take-in. There is beer and wine and food, and I'll let you speak to the museum. It's just unbelievable. And it's a fun night out for a date or the family. So it's a win-win-win, because you have a chance to win a car. And even if you don't win, you get to attend this great event, and all for helping a worthy cause, which is helping seniors of Brevard, and allow us to keep on going with our mission, which is to improve the lives of seniors in Brevard County.
That's it. And we're done. We're out of time, but real quick, helpingseniors.carraffle.com, or call us at 321-473-7770. And get your tickets and join us. And we will see you next Wednesday right back here on 90.3 FM WEJF. On behalf of Joe Steckler, our president and founder, our whole team, we'll see you next week. Have a great week.